You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Chief Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Legends House After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Legends House After Show.
The boys are back in town. The legends are on the network. You ask, we deliver. A Legends House AfterBuzz for you. Welcome everybody to Legends House AfterBuzz. We're doing episodes 1, The Boys Are Back, and episode 2, The Cart Before the Horse today. I am Christian Rosenberg, but I'm not doing this alone. I got a star-studded panel with me. I mean, some future legends in themselves.
Studded. I caught that little pun you cast there. Horse, stud. You're a funny guy.
I actually didn't plan on that, but that's the Hobo. And next to him is our current predictions champion, Soapbox Mark Donica.
Oh, he took it from me, the bastard.
I'm gonna keep it from you.
I took this from you, so it's fine.
I don't have any gold over here. I feel a little left out.
That's all right. You got a nice shiny ring there. How much did that cost you?
This ring was actually my grandfather's.
Oh, really? If I pawned it, it's probably worth a good chunk there, wouldn't it?
I'll keep him away from you.
All right, I appreciate that, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that won't sell.
Be happy the smirks in between you and me, right? You'd end up with a lot of things missing by the end of the show.
Well, we got Legends House, guys. It is on the WWE Network. It is the most watched show on the WWE Network.
They keep reminding us.
They keep reminding us on every Raw, SmackDown, main event, you name it, they do it.
And really, it's hard to forget why. The show, there's just something about it. It's magnetic.
Well, it's the real world for senior citizens.
Which, right now, our country has a real love for senior citizens. You know, the greatest generation served in World War II. This is just a little bit after that. There's little brothers. So, we can find a lot of love for these people. And they're some of the greatest wrestlers of all time, let's face it.
Well, not just wrestlers, but personalities as well.
Oh, personalities, big personalities.
Well, let's break down who is in the Legends House. Kind of like a quick rundown of the people in it. First off, we got Tony Atlas.
Oh, yeah.
How old is the guy and he's still jacked to the nines?
It doesn't matter because his arms are 22 and that just settles all the scores. All the numbers in the world.
Yeah. WWE Hall of Famer, one half of the first African-American tag team champions, along with the great Rocky Johnson, another Hall of Famer. Fans today remember him most as at one point managing Mark Henry, as well as being the Ed McMahon for the Abraham Washington show.
That's true, yes.
And he was on, there was a MTV True Life, I'm a Pro Wrestler, and they caught up with him before he went back to WWE, and it was sad.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
He was
Did you not see that?
He was a former legend. He was a WWE legend and a former.
They followed him. They followed Triple H in China, and then they followed one or two guys in training.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
I can assure you, though, that Tony Atlas still does smaller shows. In fact, I know up in Oregon, he just did a show very recently where he worked with some younger talent and appeared on the show himself. And was the legend of the show, a huge draw.
Mm. Oh, yeah, they still draw. I mean, well, hence they're drawing the numbers for the network.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hillbilly Jim. Now, this is the guy I'm the happiest is on it because he was one of those guys that's been forgotten. Because, I mean, he was around in the 80s, had a few injuries, so he didn't really have the full-length successful career as a lot of them, but still just a polarizing figure on his height, his size, and just a good old farmer boy.
He was one of those faces that you could always go, yeah, I want to see this guy win. The way you said this is one of the guys that you're happy to see. Anytime Hillbilly Jim shows up, I'm like, yeah. He's just he's one of those characters, one of those guys where he always did good work. He was always very entertaining. And like you said, his size, he looks great. right now.
He's managed to maintain his overall well-being, I think maybe through yoga, some stuff that came up later in the first episode. But yeah, he looks great. I mean, he's the pride of Mudlick, Kentucky. I mean, and he knows it, and he's just happy to be anywhere he is. He's not going to be here long, but he wants to have fun while he's here, and that I can really appreciate it.
Now, a guy who hasn't really kept up the shape that he had during his prime, Howard Finkel, the greatest ring announcer in human history, the most addicting ring announcing voice. My lifelong dream was to win the Intercontinental Championship and have him announce it. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Well, Howard has kept up a shape. Do you know what that shape is?
A circle?
Round. His shape is round.
Yeah, he's gained quite a bit of weight.
Well, he's admitted that he has done such a thing and has tried to reverse it, especially on this show, taking advantage. He's trying to lose the weight. Good for him. Good for the fake.
He's taking advantage of all the opportunities that are presented to him, and he's doing everything to the fullest that he can while he has this opportunity. He's very much like a great underdog on this show.
Kind of, yeah, actually. He doesn't have any sort of real in-ring experience as the rest of them do. Even Mean Gene has some in-ring experience, but the Fink does not.
Yeah. And yeah, let's bring up Mean Gene Okerlund also there. So we have like a few of like the announcer, interviewer guys in this. Mean Gene, he's one of those guys that looks almost exactly the same as he looked 30 years ago.
Just a little older.
Just a couple more wrinkles, but still the same guys, still the same delivery.
Sounds the same.
Sounds exactly
the same. He should be on QVC. I was saying to myself as he was explaining something or talking about food, he was just describing food, and I found myself even hungrier than I already was.
Give him and Tony Atlas a show on the Travel Channel.
Oh my
Or give him and
God.
Tony Atlas a traveling food show on the network.
Brilliant.
I love both ideas.
Yes.
That's genius.
Make it happen, people.
Come on.
Another guy that really hasn't changed at all in God knows how many years, the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
Yeah, you want to talk about not changing this guy. Whew. I mean, we saw in the second episode how he keeps up his hair, and I mean, you probably could have had the whole runtime for that. Like that entire sequence
it was a
of
tutorial.
You comb it this way, you make sure it's sprayed,
Hart.
and you comb it back, and then you make sure that's sprayed, and then it's up, and like. I feel sorry because they make such a big to-do about having to share a bathroom in the first episode. Feel sorry for Hacksaw and Piper in the other room, just like, God.
Waiting to use the mirror.
Yeah.
He's got to get the hair just right for every second of every day.
And you know how he did not reveal what his hairspray was. He said it was a special mixture. My God, really?
Yeah, it was spray paint. Jeez.
It was lacquer.
It's spray paint and super glue.
Yeah.
How does he get it out at the end of the day?
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
It just permeates into his skin, and that's how his skin stays just like
He
this.
has a new
kinda
pillow sheet
tan.
every night.
Wow.
Pat Patterson, the first ever Intercontinental Champion.
From Rio de Janeiro, he got that championship.
And again, like today's fans, they know him most as in the Attitude Era being Vince McMahon's stooge.
The Attitude Era.
But he was literally everything. He was a wrestler. He was a commentator. He was a referee.
Mm-hmm. Refereed the first WrestleMania instead of Muhammad Ali because he wanted to actually like get involved and fight.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, he was the stooge. Like he has done pretty much he's an agent backstage. He's done every role there is.
Every role. I mean, he's had 50 years in the business, for crying out loud. How many more jobs do you need after 50 plus years in the wrestling business?
Yeah.
Oh, also he brought it up in his limo ride that he is responsible for the creation of the Royal Rumble, which is another thing that just what a career for that guy.
Howard Finkel came up with WrestleMania.
Yeah.
The name for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Oh,
I knew one of you was going to do it.
I left a second for him.
No, I wanted to leave it for him.
Yeah.
He took it.
Hall of Famer.
that.
Speaking of the Royal Rumble, the winner of the very first Royal Rumble. And whenever he's on TV, he's the most over guy in any crowd because they're just doing the ho chant.
Yeah, he was on Raw.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Hart was on the pre-show and post-show for Raw.
They're plugging Legends House for sure.
And you want to talk about a guy to be to show how anti-American you are, you put Hacksaw Jim Duggan up there and get Rusev on there. Absolutely. It was a very smart idea to plug both things.
Yeah.
And you see a very different side of Hacksaw in this show. You see the businessman, the real man, instead of the
articulate guy.
The
father.
articulate guy, the smart guy, the guy who wears a fancy suit. I mean, there's something to Hacksaw that people really haven't taken into account that they're going to get a look at in this show.
When I saw him wearing a blazer, I was confused.
Right.
Why is he not wearing a shirt, and where is his 2x4?
Where is it? Where's Plank?
Where's his American flag? And finally, Rowdy Roddy Piper. Again, what more can we say about him? Hall of Famer. You can make the argument, and the very strong argument, nobody used a microphone better than him. Great villain. Good guy, too.
One of my favorites. One of my
In one of the most hardcore matches of all time, the dog collar match with Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, even if people ECW is hardcore, you got two guys literally tied to each other with a dog collar. Not any of this gimmick stuff. Just huge chain, dog collar, blood.
Ugly, just ugly.
Yeah,
there wasn't anything sort of pretty about it. You could watch Sabu in ECW and say that was kind of pretty. No, man, dog collar is just ugly.
Yeah, no, he deserves all the credit that he
damn straight.
And who better to kind of round all the legends up and give them their assignments than one of the Pussycat Dolls?
Is she really?
Yeah, she was a former Pussycat Doll.
Ashley Roberts.
Ashley Roberts.
One of the Pussycat Dolls. You know, the one that wasn't the singer, so no one knew any of the others.
But I mean,
Right.
once I found out that she had a career aside, like she wasn't just host girl. I found her on Twitter and I tweeted, "I'm so sorry that you had to deal with these rambunctious old men. The way that." God.
What's your response? The only really nice one was Pat Patterson. Isn't that weird?
No, that's not weird. And I got a comment about that later.
Oh, she responded to you?
No, but just like of all of them, Pat Patterson was just kind of the most respectful. Isn't that weird? But I felt so sorry. It was like watching a Michael Scott episode of The Office where it's just like, oh, don't say that. Just don't stop. Just like, hi, Ashley. Like that's seemingly what a lot of the interactions from some of the legends were.
Jimmy Hart called her a bimbo. I thought that was weird.
That came out of nowhere. And Mean Gene was on almost like a pervish level.
He's a man of great internal just conflict, because he said in like the first part of the show, "I've married 48 years. I can't imagine rooming with a man." But a tall blonde walks into the room and he's all over her.
Well, no, he was like, "Well, I brought my bathing suit. I hope there's some pretty looking women that I could show off to." And then cue Ashley.
Christ almighty, Mingy.
That was.
Well, she gives them their first assignment, which is she has a bunch of cakes, and go on to this super ritzy neighborhood that we got you housed in and knock on the doors of your neighbors and be like, "Hey, we're your new neighbor. Can we come in with a camera crew and give you some cake?"
They must have contacted the neighbors
they did.
ahead of time. There's no way they couldn't have.
Of course. So they kind of were divided up into teams, and they all had kind of different experiences.
Based on
within the house.
rooms, who they were rooming with. I thought that was a good way of dividing it up. Whoever you're rooming with, that's your partner. Go, get lost.
The most intriguing one to me was, well, first off, the most intriguing room, I think we can all agree, is Piper and Hacksaw together.
That's a weird team.
Though I do like how everybody's bed, they don't just have like a photo of them in their glory days. They have like a themed backdrop, like Piper's is plaid, Hacksaw's is a bunch of 2x4s like laid out. I think that's just kind of a cool little
Tony's
set
is a
design
picture
thing.
of him and then the arms extending out past the frame. Perfect.
Yeah, that's really cool. That was really fun.
But yeah, I thought it was funny because all of a sudden Piper and Hacksaw are in this person's house talking with the kids and everything like that. And the whole time, Hacksaw is like telling the kids to say these things to Piper.
They're kind of going back and forth. It gives them the dog treat.
Yeah.
Hacksaw and Piper are the tag team of this show. They really are. They're just ribbing each other, but they're always together, and they really, really respect each other. And it's a cool thing to see amongst guys who are so established. It's the mutual respect and the fact that they don't mind ribbing each other a lot.
Well, I mean, it like hearing Piper go, "Oh, that's not cool." Like so, like the kind of with the the oeuvre that he has.
Like it seems we're watching thinking like, okay, in 3 seconds he's going to snap and throw a kid through the window.
Seriously.
But thankfully he does not.
He likes kids. I don't think he finds them threatening, and that's good for them.
Yeah, good for them indeed. So then after they all went to the houses, they go back to their house. Pat is going to treat them to a nice dinner. He's going to make this cabbage
roll.
Thank you.
Cabbage roll.
A cabbage roll. And the other guys don't realize that those take several hours to make.
I don't think anybody knows. I never heard of a cabbage roll until I watched this show.
I don't know.
I guess it's a Montreal thing.
I guess.
Yeah.
So needless to say, everyone is getting super hungry and waiting forever for these. And then they just end up kind of Piper has the battle with the blender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that morning when he's just like, there's no blend button.
Oh, that's with the morning, not the night. I'm sorry.
And Hacksaw's just sitting there, like he tries once or twice, and then he just sits back and he just starts watching.
He tries to call other people into the room to watch Piper versus the blender.
That WrestleMania 31, that's your main event.
Yes.
So between them being annoyed, like we don't know what to do for food that night, and then the next day Piper is freaking out about the blender.
Basically, they wake up hungry.
Yeah. So they need to relax. They need to meditate. They need to clear their mind. And who better to clear one's mind than someone who doesn't possess one? I'm talking about the one and only Gary Busey.
That was one of the most awkward introductions because really nobody really knew who Busey was, and Busey.
Well, a couple people did.
Right, but then Busey didn't know who they were. But Piper had the line. Piper said, "What, is Gary Busey gonna give us motorcycle lessons?" Oh my God! I can't believe he said that.
No, but I like how they kept the take of Pat Patterson calling him Gary Busey. Just like, this guy is Gary Busey. I never heard of him before.
Little known fact: they did 30 takes of that. That was the best one.
Nah, I believe it. I totally believe it.
No.
Yep. That's Mean Gene.
But yeah, so
Pat Patterson.
Well, whoever.
Busey is trying to motivate them. Who better of a motivational speaker than Gary Busey? And Tony Atlas is buying everything he says.
This guy's amazing.
You know what? I mean, Gary Busey honks at geese to cure boredom.
I'm just like, this may seem a little boring. I don't want to do that. I honk at geese. And everyone's just like,
it makes sense to me.
I'm not bored anymore.
I'm just afraid because you know they're gonna want to put him like as a special guest on a Raw at some point soon now because of this.
Do it.
No.
I want to see Gary Busey bite somebody.
No.
He's got them choppers, man. Bam, bam.
Those are
the
veneers.
Busey bite. The Busey bite.
What's wrong?
They have Gary Busey on Legends House. That's what's wrong.
That's a good point.
This whole segment was just like,
he really fit well into all these guys. It was just odd how he just kind of
didn't Gary Busey seem like the most like a wrestler out of all of them?
But then he got to the psychological part, and that's where it was completely just.
Yeah, and then that's where all of a sudden Tony Atlas and Hacksaw started having a little argument around the breakfast table.
Just a disagreement on points of view. As it turned out.
Yeah, it was a very small, just sort of a misunderstanding. Like they were both kind of saying the same thing, but in different languages. Kind of.
Yeah, and just neither one of them would really understand or accept the other one's opinion.
It was just really awkward.
That's how it's gonna be. These guys they're older. And they're set in their ways, and they're just not going to accept anything else other than what they have to say. That's just how it goes.
But yeah, then Busey talks about the whole character things. Like when I played a movie, I left that on the set, and that got Piper heated up, real hot.
Piper tore that whole idea apart because he was absolutely correct. You, as a wrestler, you can't just leave that behind. I mean, you are what you are. You as a wrestler, you get one role to play, and that's it. As an actor, you put on many hats. You are many different things. As a wrestler, you are remembered as one thing, and you have to be be that thing in order to evoke emotion from whoever you encounter in the street. You want them to have a positive reaction of who you are. So you have to be that person. Just like Piper said, if someone came up and said, "Are you Joshua?" You would not be Joshua. You would be Busey, but I am Piper.
I was going to say, who's Joshua?
That is the role
Busey's
that
character.
Gary Busey played in the very first Lethal Weapon,
Yeah.
where he put the lighter under his arm.
Yeah, that's what he was talking. He was talking about that. He's like, yeah, I played this character, and then when the shoot was over, that was it.
I was
wasn't that
done. I
character
took
anymore.
off the outfit and the makeup, and that was it.
Well, you're right. As far as, in the life of a wrestler, you have to be that role, and the more you embrace it, the more you become it, and the more people believe it.
Absolutely. And believing is the most important thing you can do as a wrestler.
Yep.
If you make people believe, then they will embrace you.
And it's not even it's not just wrestlers. It's the referees, the commentators, the managers. All of them have to take a part in it. But obviously the wrestlers are, the ones in that spotlight.
Front and center.
But, everyone else helps enhance that to help everyone believe.
Very true.
And Busey doesn't get that.
No,
but you can understand that he doesn't.
Absolutely. He tries to understand the concept, but he fails, but that's his shortcoming because of his point of view.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then episode 1 ends with the guys all getting drunk at night. Piper, he's given up on booze. He's been sober for a while.
He's been clean.
And
that's good for him.
This is making him go crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
and I can 100% understand why that's the case.
Yeah, and
to stay away from alcohol is a very difficult thing when you have nothing else to occupy your time.
But he was almost acting like serial killer crazy.
No, not serial killer.
No.
Just busybody. He's got to get out. He's got to get away from these people who are drinking so that he himself does not succumb to drinking himself.
Yeah, so
it's difficult.
The first episode ends with Piper sneaking out of the house, even though the camera crew was with him. Yeah. And kind of like walking down the street and kind of talking about how he might leave the show.
He just kept saying like, "No, this isn't
foot,
cool."
I assume.
Yeah,
cool.
On foot, leaving all this stuff and just walking out.
Yeah,
in a bathrobe.
Why not?
Whatever.
Hey, he had a Coke. He was fine. He could last for a little while.
And so that ends episode 1, and that leads us into episode 2, the cart before the horse. And Piper eventually kind of comes to his senses, being like, he's going to tough it out and go through this. Walks back in the house, kind of resting in his room. And Hacksaw comes in, kind of talks with him, calms him down a little bit. And their relationship it's really, like, I want these two in a sitcom. Yeah. Because they pull pranks on each other, then they get along great. Then they have a disagreement, then they pull a prank on one another, then they have a serious heart-to-heart. It's like a more adult Full House.
They're wrestling's odd couple.
Sort of. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think if you pair anybody with Piper, though, it would be an odd couple. I mean, he's described on this show as being the loner. He is the loner. No one should hang out with Piper because he's so wild. He's a wild man. And while that's true, I mean, Hacksaw, I think he looks up to Piper. He really does. And it's really great to see two guys get along like that.
Well, they both, worked side by side for so many years, and so they might have not been like close when they were traveling and everything like that because there were different areas on the card. Piper was normally up towards the main event. Hacksaw was kind of in the mid card for most of his career. So in a way, you can say Hacksaw kind of looked up to Piper because he
even
he
Hacksaw
that
explains on the show that when he was coming in, Piper was at the top, and it's difficult for a guy in the middle and a guy at the top to really connect when they're on the road so very often. But I think now they have a chance, and Hacksaw can show Piper what he really meant to him while they were coming up, so to speak.
Mm. So everyone finally, gets some sleep. Hillbilly Jim is then woken up by the maid.
Hey, man.
After a lot of work from the maid. She was really trying to be polite.
In his defense, he had earplugs in, he had his eyes
face mask
covered. He was ready to knock out for as long as humanly possible.
But then the best thing about Hillbilly Jim, it just shows how nice of a guy he is. This woman, woke him up because, she had to do her job. Mm-hmm. And you would think a guy that size and everything, he'd be pissed that he suddenly got woken up unexpectedly by a vacuum. But he was like, No, sweetie, you go ahead and do your job. I'm just going to stay right here.
I'm gonna lay here. I don't want to get in your way.
Yeah, just like, oh my God, you're such a nice guy.
Yeah.
It
I
really
mean,
is.
I wonder if there will be anything in the show that could break Hillbilly Jim's kindness.
We find like the one thing that pisses him off.
The one small
and
thing.
it's going to be something like penguins. It's going to be just some random thing.
Innocuous.
I mean, there's an episode coming up. I think it's the next week's episode where like him and Tony make all of the Southern food, like grits, chitlins, like all that stuff, and everybody just like, ugh. So maybe like directly kind of insulting his way of life when he was a kid, maybe, or he's just like, more for me. Like that's the thing is he could go either way, but probably just the nice guy way.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be. He's probably gonna say something like, "Well, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Some like it, some don't. Whatever.
I'm gonna get a better serving on my plate."
Yeah,
That's exactly what I expect from Hillbilly Jim.
Bless
Gosh,
him.
just amazing man. It's just he's so calming watching him on television. It's an incredible effect.
Teach me.
Yes, teach us, Hillbilly. Teach us.
Hillbilly,
your
come
ways.
here and teach us your ways of good manners.
I
Yes.
would be dead in my seat if he came here and taught us his ways.
I don't think he could fit in this room.
We'd find a way. We'll kick Mark out or something.
Yeah, only one tall guy per show.
Well, he's taller than you, so you
Yeah.
would be second fiddle easily.
Yeah.
You kept it Southern.
And
Yes.
I mean, we're both fairly. You're taller than me, but I mean, I'm not.
No,
a
he's
short
like-
guy. Yeah, I mean, well, he is huge.
Yeah,
He's like
big man.
6'8" type
It's-
huge.
Well, I mean,
And big.
Build at 6'7".
Build-
So
okay.
about now in his life, he'd be about 6'5", 6'4.5".
We're still looking up to him.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And he can snow snap us like a twig.
bless him.
Maybe. Although he wouldn't want to.
No, he'd be.
So
no.
there's a threat gone away.
You know what? If he did, he'd apologize before and after he did it.
Absolutely.
And make sure your family was well taken care of after you were snapped in half. He'd pay your medical bills too.
Yes.
Jeez.
So
Theoretical Hillbilly Jim is awesome.
like the nicest guy ever.
Seriously.
Ashley comes to the house, and all the guys are like, "Oh, it's a woman again."
Good morning, Ashley. That's the tone that I hear, and they're all, "Good morning, Ashley," but it's like, no. Good morning.
And just Mean Gene making eyebrows at Ashley.
I've
Yes.
been married for 40 years, but
Hello.
Ashley.
Terrible.
Stop it.
She lets the guys know that they are going to play polo today. And Tony Atlas goes nuts because he is terrified of horses.
I don't blame him. They're huge animals.
I guess Tony Atlas doesn't like anything bigger or stronger than him.
And there's not many things on the planet that are.
Yeah.
Horses are one of them.
They can't flex, but I know they're stronger. I just know.
He talks like T talks, like in our head. He really
Yeah, he
does.
I pity the full 69. Follow on Twitter.
Absolutely. If you don't, that's really funny. No joke.
Oh, no, I mean, he's sent me tweets before.
There
He's a
you
funny
go.
guy.
Oh, yeah, he pony for one of your rose shirts. That's right.
Yeah, we're working on a deal.
Classic T.
Dig it.
Rose shirt for a pony.
God, polo.
Polo.
But yeah, going to polo. So Tony's freaking out, thinking that he's going to die. Like, he's going to fall off the horse and get kicked in the head and die while being filmed for a reality show.
What a way to go.
Yeah, if there was a way to go, that'd be it.
Hey, man, $9.99 a month. I'd get Tony Atlas being kicked in the head in the horse. That's awful.
And
I
you get it
apologize.
on demand. You
can watch it over and over again.
Rewind,
Just scrub
go,
it back.
rewind, go.
Jeez.
We're
Terrible.
going to hell. But so they arrive at the field, and Tony, very pleased to find out, they will not be riding horses. They will be on golf carts being driven by
Professional golf cart drivers.
professional golf
Whatever.
cart polo
But I want-
players.
Females.
Like, Palm Springs isn't that far away. Can we, go and sign up for that and do that?
That
Because
looks
that would
like-
be awesome.
If we
Actually,
did
I
it
think on the way to your next show, we
this Saturday,
might be able to.
we probably
Stop
could.
off for a game of
On your
golf
way to
cart
Indio,
polo.
California, stop off in beautiful Palm Springs and play some golf cart polo.
Yeah, you can stop at that supermarket where Pat Patterson asked if that
melons or
that
something.
butcher counter liked to play with
probably.
meat.
The beefy butcher.
We should try to find out and get all the AfterBuzz wrestling hosts to do a polo match and find a way to film it.
That would be sweet. That would be
great.
so cool.
Roya, you heard it here first. We have to make that happen.
Write it down.
Find a way. I'm giving you the power.
The Polo Grounds in Palm Springs, California.
AfterBuzz Showdown.
I know they got a good golf course out there. It must be somewhere near there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I love, though, with Tony Atlas kind of being, like, relieved that they're on horses. Then you see a few of the other legends that be like, did you really think they were going to give us horses? Like, there's no way they would put us
if
on
nobody
horses.
knows how to ride a horse, like,
Why would they put us on
here
horses?
you go.
Right.
Oh, yeah, especially, could you imagine poor Mean Gene? Or Fink,
No, I was thinking
or the
Fink.
poor horse,
I was thinking
the poor
Fink.
horse that the Fink gets left with.
He'd get a donkey.
The poor horseman. It's not like this. It's like this because they're being weighed down.
The poor horseman.
Oh, my God. hashtag poor horseman. So they get divided into teams.
Or they get to pick teams.
Oh, yeah, they were captains. Right. And they pick their teams. And then they go, and apparently at the end of the first half, there was a little scoring controversy. I don't remember off the top of my head which team. One of the teams scored, but
It was...
Which one was it, red or
hold
blue?
on. It was the blue team scored 2 points where the red scored 1. And red was raising the problem that one of their horses broke down in the middle of the game.
That's a power play.
Well, I mean...
I guess they don't have power plays in polo.
Apparently in polo, the way the ruling is, if one of your horses becomes injured mid-play, they play it as a no-go.
Yeah. No, they explained that.
And see, to me, that seems odd because, like, for example, in football and basketball, if a player goes down, play continues until the ref stops it for, like, a turnover or a team calls a timeout or something along those lines.
Yeah, but if a horse goes down, like, it takes a lot to either get the horse back up if they can't get up on their own power, or there's a possibility if it's limping that it might fall and take out another horse.
It's a golf cart.
Yes,
it's
but
not a horse.
they were using the polo rules with the horse. So
right, and that's okay.
thinking in that, it makes sense.
I think it's okay that they value horses more than people. I think people are really way overrated, and horses are cool.
He's listening to Busey again.
I am. I got Busey in this year, right here. Horses are cool, man.
You
People
do
are
know
Yeah, it says
alright.
B here.
We have the same, like, we're hearing the same stuff in our headphones, and there's no Gary Busey there. You're just imagining it.
Instead
That's
of
what you
instead of R, it says B. So I mean, he might have like hacked it or something.
Busey.
Hacker hobo.
All right, well, after they get the golf cart fixed, they end up taking off that goal. They resume
And it's even. It's 1-1 red after the half.
Perfect
or 1-1
drama.
red-blue after the half.
and then it eventually goes to a shootout.
Which is very entertaining.
A polo golf cart shootout where it was the red team won, correct? Am I wrong on that? I have a 50-50
No,
shot.
final point blue.
Okay, see, I had a 50-50 shot and I got it wrong.
Scores it.
I've been running around today. Hacksaw
that's perfect.
Hacksaw scores the winning goal, and then the losing team, their reward for losing is they get to clean up a bunch of horse manure.
Which is unfair because they took Mean Gene's gimmick. He was complaining.
Yeah, that was so good. It's like
they took my gimmick.
the hammer
They took my gimmick.
falls out of his hands. Like they took my gimmick.
They took my gimmick. They didn't know what the hell to call it. That is wrestling speak 101, baby. They took my gimmick.
My gimmick.
My gimmick.
It's hilarious.
You know, the gimmick. The gimmick.
Look, I'll keep it. I popped very, very hard for that.
I was one of those moments where I watched it and I'm like, wait, did he just? Oh no, rewind. He did just call it a
He
gimmick.
just called it a
He
gimmick.
calls it gimmick like several dozen times.
My
My
gimmick.
They took my gimmick.
They took my gimmick, even though he like dropped it, or it got caught under somebody else's wheel.
Yeah. So then the losing team cleans the horse kennel, and Tony Atlas makes amends with the horse.
Very happy. to
And
see
Mark
that.
just snorted.
It was so. Tony Atlas, bless him. He's having the so far. These first 2 episodes, he's having all of the fun that he could possibly have, and to be able
This
to.
Eddie Murphy laugh.
It's very riotous. It's a very riotous laugh, and it's unfortunate that he, at least with these throughout, but with these first 2 episodes, like he's been getting some slack. But he's just happy to be around friends and people that he hasn't talked to in years, and enjoying the food and the drinks and everything, and getting a chance to like overcome a fear. That's cool. That's really cool to get that chance.
He seems to be really taking full advantage of everything that's offered to him.
Just like Fink, in terms of like, they have a tennis court, or they have a gym.
I'm gonna run around.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna
play
do
tennis.
laps. Like, good for
Absolutely.
him.
And then they find out that they're gonna go to Zumba class. Well, they know they're going to the gym.
No.
They know they're gonna go to the gym. Fink's the most excited, but everyone's kind of like, oh, cool, gym, that's fine. We can go work out. And then they find out they're doing Zumba.
I didn't know whether to be excited or scared.
I was both.
I was both too. By the end of the segment, it was, oh my God.
Piper was having a field day with the dancers.
Well,
Well,
I mean-
Patterson and Mean Gene tapped out and sat in the back. Were like, or at least Gene was like, "Oh yeah," and
mean-
Pat didn't get it.
Me and Gene is a perv.
Well, I mean, he is, but next to Piper, he looked like some sort of monk. Piper comes in and is embracing all the women he can like he has had cabin fever, stuck on an island populated by only men. It's like, oh, let me smell ya. Oh, I don't blame him, though.
It was
really
kind of with
don't.
that veracity.
Yeah.
So I don't blame him.
And credit to Fink. Wasn't anywhere close to what the moves were.
No, but bless
he
him.
went the whole time.
And he was trying.
Yeah.
The whole point of Zumba is constant motion, and he pretty much achieved that, so good for him.
Yeah. And Hacksaw was kind of holding his own during it.
He was way off and kind of like taking breaks to kind of get back into it, but not at all.
Not to punch anybody.
Yeah,
you gotta
exactly.
be careful not to strike anyone while in mid-Zumba.
Right. So, yeah, it ends. And like, I just love seeing all these wrestlers that, we've watched them wrestle 30 minutes, 60-minute matches, cage matches, all these things. And I always see them in a Zumba class, and they're, like, passing out and drenched in sweat. Like, they're more tired from that than the dog collar match.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
I mean, there's no like rest holds in Zumba though.
True.
Like that's the
You're
thing.
right. Yeah, that's true. That's
I've
true.
never done any Zumba. I've watched a lot of it. I've licked plenty of glass watching a Zumba class, but I've never actually participated.
That's the worst.
You licked plenty of glass.
Sure.
Glass.
Glass. G-L-A-S-S. Glass.
But you can.
Folks, this is how every episode is going to be.
Hey man,
Honestly,
we're the late
way-
show.
We are way cleaner than they are.
We're the late
that's
show.
true. That's
We're
true.
doing a great job.
But I watched when I first watched this episode. Since Hobo has a Twitter account, I went to his Twitter and I was just the equivalent of shouting. It was all caps, just like they made them do Zumba. Everybody's kind of creepy and pervy. Fink is amazing. And I had a miniature meltdown.
The only one who was no threat to any of the ladies was Pat Patterson.
That's why he sat down.
God help him. He did not care.
No.
He gave no care at all. He just wished he was on a cruise doing karaoke somewhere.
Yeah, and
That
I'm
was the
sure
only
we're
thing
gonna
he
get
cared
one.
Oh,
about.
because he was talking about karaoke in this episode. I think he talked about karaoke in every episode.
Doing like he wants to go
Oh,
on
I
a-
love
a
karaoke. I love
30-day
that
cruise.
karaoke. I could sing every night.
He wants to
That's my
sing
lame
a whole
attempt
lot
at
of
a
Elton
Patterson.
John
Yeah,
on a
that was
cruise
nice.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, Pat Patterson is going to sing. On this
Oh, he's
season.
gotta.
We
He's
can't
gotta.
stop
Yeah.
him.
We got. I mean, maybe they're saving it for the finale, but he has to sing. And so then the night starts to end where they're back home, and Pat and Gene are like, you know what? We're gonna make this great dinner, and then discover, oh wait, all the meat is frozen. We can't cook it tonight. Oh well. And apparently, no one else knew that they stopped cooking.
They didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Hart's no freaking help. We ate a baked potato and a can of white beans.
That's
all he
apparently
eats.
That's what Jimmy Hart eats.
Disgusting.
That's-
I'm a friggin' hobo and I think that's nasty.
That is the secret to his hair.
Oh, gross.
Baked potato
Starch.
and beans every day.
White beans, like they don't even have. Oh, he just poured the can out in the juice. Oh my
guy-
God, I'm gonna throw up all over this friggin' table.
Please don't. The guy is like 150 pounds soaking wet.
He
And
still
a baked potato and beans every day.
I have to admit, in his hair tutorial, he still looked like he was in pretty good shape. I'm like, looking at him
didn't look
going,
in bad shape at all."
you're not that bad. You got muscle, not a whole lot of fat. I mean, granted, all of his weight's in his stomach, but that's just the build of an old man.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a stick his whole life and career.
Right. And now he's just sort of, it's gathered in the middle, but he's all like skin and muscle. I really got to hand it to him.
Yeah.
So people are trying to figure out what to do for food. Piper and Hacksaw have an idea. let's try to find some local restaurant and order delivery or takeout or something like
Kobe
that.
beef. That's the ticket. Kobe beef steakhouse.
Kobe beef.
Yeah, Kobe beef. I'm sure they deliver.
The idea, man.
And for some reason, they get no cell phone reception.
It's the middle of the desert, but you
Honestly,
figured they'd hook them up with
Seriously,
something,
I-
like
I've
a
been-
microcell.
I've been stuck out there before. There ain't nothing. There ain't nothing in the middle of Palm Springs.
Can't they order online?
You have to need cell reception to get that anyway.
Or
but
Wi-Fi.
It might
there's
have been a
computers.
situation like a regular like a reality show where it's like, oh yeah, you're cut off. You just have to deal with each other. Because if they all had the internet, they could just sit back and be
That's
on
a
the
good
internet as opposed
point.
to being forced to commune with each other.
Well, while Piper and Hacksaw are trying to figure out how to get food, Atlas, and the rest of them, they
And
kind of
Jim.
figure out, oh, we can take this food and grill some of it. And
Right.
kind of had this barbecue feast, and all of a sudden everyone's happy, and everyone's very thankful to Tony for coming up with and doing all the grilling and
He
cooking
was
for
the
everyone.
only one. He was the one who came together with the idea. He said, "Well, we got chicken, we got barbecue sauce. Let's freaking make this thing happen."
And
It doesn't matter if it's frozen.
Thank you, Tony.
he cooked, he served it, he cleaned up. Like, he was doing everything for everyone.
He was the man of the hour.
Yeah, and like Hacksaw made sure he took a minute because they had a little dispute in the last episode. Wanted to kind of pull him aside and thank him and talk about how great dinner was. And
That's cool, man.
it was very nice.
Yeah, it's a
I
nice
really
thing.
dig that. That's
Yeah.
a nice thing. And I think that was legitimate. I don't know if he had to do that or not, but I don't know. It seemed like it was a real moment.
Yeah,
I dig it. I dig the show.
I mean it's one of those. It's a complete guilty pleasure show.
It really
Definitely.
is.
Absolutely
Oh,
a guilty
yeah.
pleasure.
Like
show.
the Legends of Wrestling Roundtable that they did on like WWE 24/7,
Which
their
I also
pay-per-view
loved.
channel. Yeah, now that they have them all on the network, I've been rewatching them again, and that's one thing. But like they addressed at the dinner after the polo match, like how many times are we going to talk about the old days and the career before we can just kind of talk like people? Because Mean Gene was sitting at the head of the table and let it like it was a round
Yeah,
table.
he moderated dinner.
The first
did.
WrestleMania, Pat Patterson, you were very important, and like it was just like, I've seen this conversation before, and you can watch it for $9.99 a month on the WWE Network.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be like us in here, and I sounded like, Hobo, tell us about that time you won the Pixel Pro Wrestling Championship.
I don't want to
It
hear
was
that
a
story.
fantastic day. I fought
wanna hear
against great odds. I came from behind, and I managed to squeak out a victory by mere minutes because it was an Iron Man match. I managed to get the last fall, and it was a great day in my life. I got to admit, it was quite amazing.
It wasn't. It was just a gimmick. He didn't actually want you to retell the story, or I didn't want you to retell the story. But
That's
thanks for the
okay.
setup.
He asked, and I answered, and that's the only thing that matters because I've got gold, baby, gold.
I didn't mind hearing the story. I mean, and one of these days, before I'm gonna make a proclamation.
Proclamation.
Before the end of this season of Legends House, one of those belts is gonna be over here.
It depends
I
on
don't
how
know
much
which
longer
one.
the season is.
That's a good point. If the season ends next week, then I might be in trouble.
I mean, it was a pilot season essentially.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it was short
But we may be getting a second one, so
with different folk.
that would make it real interesting.
Yeah.
I would like to see some returners, though. I would like to see Piper do this again. Tony, too. Maybe
Tony-
Hillbilly. I'd like to see a lot of these guys return if there's a second
I
season.
want the season finale to be a twist and be all of a sudden they're thinking like, they're all packing up and saying their goodbyes. Ashley shows up and be like, oh, by the way, you're here for 4 more months.
Nobody's leaving alive.
But the shot was like back in 2009. So like they've just been sitting in a house waiting for it to
whatever.
get picked up.
It's a gimmick, man. It's a gimmick.
And well, then all of a sudden they were like, oh, you guys can leave, but the last one in the house wins $100,000.
Now I could do a lot with $100,000.
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of different ways we can say how the next season goes. But that wraps up these first 2 episodes of Legends House. And we're going to be doing more of these, and we're going to have fun. I can already tell this is going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be fun.
And we want to thank Prohibition and Encino for hosting our get together before this show.
One of my
we can
favorite places
prepare
for
and
burgers.
Compare notes.
Yeah, burgers.
My favorite place. The Fat Tony is my favorite burger there.
Now, which
They
one's
know how
the-
to make a chicken breast, I'll tell you that
They
much.
do.
What's the Fat Tony? I can't remember the Fat Tony.
It's like they're you can get beef or turkey patty.
Yeah.
And
Put a local discussion about a
We're
place.
gonna get
Why
a
not?
goddamn gift
Why
card
not?
out of this one way or
why
another.
not? Fried jalapenos,
Ooh.
onion strings,
Oh, yeah.
pepper jack
Dig
cheese.
it.
I think it was pepper jack, and they have some type of like chipotle spread on it or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It's excellent.
A little heat.
Yeah,
It's good.
But until next time, because we're gonna probably go there next week and eat beforehand as well.
Oh, yeah.
In the meantime, Hobo, how can our legion of Legends House fans reach out to you?
Oh, the Legion can find me at True Hobo on Twitter and at ProWrestlingTees.com. They can pick up a swanky shirt. Now, you got a video this week on our TV show, Soapbox Car TV, which they can check out on the YouTube. What did you cover this week?
Well, you can find me on Twitter so you can complain about it at Soapbox Mark. But I talked this week about how everybody should let the Attitude Era go. And that it really didn't give us that. It gave us more negative than positive. And people who fell off of wrestling because you got too lame, they don't deserve to be counted among us.
Forget the Attitude Era?
Forget the Attitude Era.
I'm
and
gonna-
forget that title.
I'm going to need to watch this just to see your reasoning, because right now I disagree with you.
It sounds completely absurd.
It does,
I
but I'll have to
agree.
watch it and find out. And you could follow me on Twitter at CRosieVOC. And like Hobo was talking about a little earlier, if you're around the Indio, California area, this Saturday, May 17th, it's a 2-day event, May 17th and 18th, Alpha Omega Wrestling's Pride of the Ring, their annual 2-day tournament. But the main event of night one, for the first time in my 8.5-year wrestling career, I've done everything in wrestling except wrestle.
That's a hell of a trick. I
That
gotta
is trick.
tell ya.
I've built rings, I've held cameras, I've reffed, I've ring announced, I've commentated, I've managed, I've done it all except wrestle. And this Saturday, I will be stepping in the ring for the very first time in a 5-on-5 elimination match. I'm a little nervous, but my team is a team of giants. And I'm going to...
Is it the Monsters?
I have the Monsters, I have
Holy-
JJ Steele, and I have
Oh.
Jeremy Yeager on my team.
That's like a ton, a metric ton
Yeah,
of
no,
human
you
beings.
got
We
some
are
good
total
people on
combined
your
weight of
side.
a metric ton, and I'm gonna walk out of Alpha Omega Wrestling the new owner, not a champion. I'm gonna own the damn place.
I mean, with the team you got, I believe you.
So if you're in that
Yeah,
area,
man.
feel free to either cheer or boo me. More people boo me there. I don't know why, but hope to see you there. Thanks so much for tuning in to Legends House this week for the Hobo and Soapbox Mark Donica. I'm Christian Rosenberg. We will see you later.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.